Sure. So the Facebook discussion today is about George Washington Carver, who was a famous scientist and inventor, known especially for his work with plants. And yeah, he's known as a really important guy. What do you guys have? What do you guys have?
Well, he actually, I mean, he accomplished a lot, and so he knew a lot of people that accomplished a lot also. Some of his colleagues included John Harvey Kellogg, which you may know from Kellogg's cereal. He was friends with Henry Ford. And he actually got asked for advice from one of Mahatma Gandhi's connections, just for advice on how Gandhi could help end a hunger strike. So he had a lot of pretty important, well-known friends as well.
Well, he was also offered a job from Thomas Edison. So
a good paying job, no doubt.
Yes, and so that's actually what I was going to share about him. So not only was he well connected, but he was a really good guy too. He cared about people and not money, really. And that's what I was going to say is Thomas Edison offered him a six-figure job that Carver actually turned down. So clearly he didn't really care all that much about money when it came down to it. He also didn't spend very much money on his clothes, and so he was kind of always, even though he had access to money and access to things, he was always walking around pretty shabby, looking pretty shabby whenever he.
Interesting, like six figures. I mean, that's a good amount of money to make now,
Today.
but
Yeah.
100 years ago or so, more than 100 years ago, that was a ton of money.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And that's what happens when you have a good brain like his.
Well, and he, so he was born a slave. He's born into slavery. Slavery ends while he's still young, and then the family that he lived with or that had owned him previously actually educated him and sort of started him off on his path of learning. And he ends up going to the Tuskegee Institute, which is considered, especially then, but is still known as this really important place of African American learning. And it's interesting to think that maybe his past impacted the way that he thought about that stuff in his adult life about what was really important, because a lot of his scientific work was about looking at plants, especially things. Peanuts are what he's famous for, and people often incorrectly say, "Oh, he invented peanut butter," or he came up with a patent for peanut butter. But actually, peanut butter has existed for millennia, or nut butter at least has existed for millennia. And I think Kellogg actually might have gotten the patent on peanut butter. I'm not 100% on that. But what Carver was known for was he figured out, hey, if you've got this thing peanuts, you don't just have to use them for butter. He came up with many other uses for peanuts, including maybe this wasn't peanuts, but one type of plant he came up with a substitute for gasoline, came up with ways to come up with dyes and plastics out of plants. And so he was looking for ways to make crops really valuable. And in that kind of way, spread wealth to farmers.
It's really interesting. I mean, also speaking of the patents, you were talking about possibly patent on peanut butter, which he didn't. He only filed 3 patents on products that he developed. And he said, so here's a quote from him. He explained, "One reason I never patent my products is that if I did, it would take so much time that I would get nothing else done." You can imagine there's probably a lot of paperwork with patents. And then he said, "But mainly I don't want any discoveries to benefit specific favored persons. I think they should be available to all peoples." So this is again back to him caring about people and really thinking about what's important is he was concerned about access.
Yeah.
When he thought about the things that he created.
One thing I read about, he spoke to Congress to push a tariff, a tax on imported peanuts as a way to sort of protect the domestic peanut supply. And his argument was, look, these are actually really valuable plants. We can do lots with them. And so it is neat to think that he had some maybe altruistic goals.
Which also protects like the peanut farmers.
Protects the
United
peanut
States,
farmers, absolutely.
Right?
It's huge.
Probably, again, looking out for people in his community.
Yeah.
He just seemed like a really, really good guy. Just smart, like beyond, so contribute to a society, and he cared about people and not money. He just seemed like a great guy.
Becca, this is yours, but did you see what was written on his grave?
Yes, I love that. Go ahead and read it.
Okay, so it says, apparently on his grave is written, he could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honor in being helpful to the world. which is pretty great.
We could all learn something from that, I
No
think.
doubt.
I think.
No doubt.
Well, check it out. So if you are interested in a little bit more about finding about George Washington Carver, just check out our Facebook page or other information. We always are posting things on there that are interesting to us. So
Subscribe!
Come on, push the button.
You know you want to.
Do it.